In Chicago on July 27, 1919, an African American named Eugene Williams went down to the 31st Street beach to escape the heat. He crossed an informal line between black and white swimmers and was pelted with rocks by a white man. While there was no legal segregation in Chicago, the past few years had seen an influx of blacks come north to seek a better life. This was stoking fear and resentment among the whites. Williams was killed in the incident, and the police arrested not the white rock thrower but a black bystander. This caused other black observers on the scene to object, which was met with violence by the whites. All this touched off 4 days of white gangs invading black areas, burning and killing. It wasn't until 6,000 National Guard troops came in to protect the black communities that calm was restored. In the end, 38 people were killed and over 500 injured. The majority of the casualties were black. As I am writing and assembling the images for this clip about the riot, the nation is roiling with unrest over the televised murder of Floyd George, an unarmed black man. He was choked to death over the course of 10 minutes by a white police officer with his hands in his pockets as he kneeled on the man's neck who pleaded for his life. As a result, cities across the country are alive with protests, destruction, deaths, and injuries. But as ugly as this moment is, it pales in comparison to the events that took place during the Red Summer of 1919. The Chicago riot wasn't an isolated incident, but a disturbance that took place during a time of great social upheaval. A flu pandemic was ravaging the world. Its spread, aided by World War I. It is estimated that as many as 100 million people died by the time the virus had run its course. Then the end of the war touched off an economic downturn. Tens of thousands of soldiers returned home finding there were no jobs to be had, and black veterans came home determined to advocate for their rights. It was called the Red Summer because of the rise of communism, and for the blood that was running in the streets because these two forces were a direct threat to the structure of the racist system. So fearful whites struck out, and the nation was engulfed by a series of similar white-on-black race riots that left hundreds of dead. Add to that, in the first 9 months of 1919, white mobs lynched at least 43 African Americans, 16 were hung and the others shot, while another 8 were actually burned to death at the stake. The states were unable or unwilling to achieve any kind of justice in these killings. And 100 years later, we still fail too often when innocent blacks die at the hands of cops, as juries in these high-profile cases have a hard time of finding them guilty.